Man, I am tone deaf, but yet that music in that intro just kind of puts me in a meditation state. And I'm 6 minutes late, and I'm going to blame my SOB internet service. I've had Verizon, I've had Spectrum, I've had CenturyLink, which is the old DSL to then fiber optic. Thought that was going to be better. So then I went begging back to Comcast for the stupid cable. And yeah, it's been interesting. So without further ado and less pissing and moaning, I appreciate you guys being here for episode 25. We've got some special guests. We're going to go over the East-West Shootout. We're probably going to go over some rumors, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And the first guest, he is pulling an all-nighter. We have David from Always Moto. He is in Australia. And what time is it there, David?
Oh, we just clicked past midnight, so I'm up on the midnight oil at this point.
Dude, I appreciate you coming on board. I know last weekend Moss is supposed to come on, and he slept through the show, and so I don't blame him. But it could be
it's easy to do at this point in the night, mate. So we're here, but we're working through it.
And guys, I want you to definitely check out Always Moto. He does some good insights, some news updates, and it's good to have you here, dude. It's really good to have you here. We also have Trevor with the Motocross Network. You're doing a new Yeah, what's up, dude? You're in New York, aren't you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Can I ask you a political question? Are you right?
Oh, man, I've been getting involved in this lately. Okay, yeah.
So, I know New York kind of swings more left, but
oh no, I'm right. Most people up here are right. It's pretty much the city. That's it.
It must be just those ballots. Just take those things and start changing them the names. You know, that's at least voter fraud, right? Doesn't happen.
No, definitely
anyway,
not.
Trevor, it's a pleasure having you here. What time is it in New York?
Well, it's 10 a.m.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I did Eastern.
I slept in and was like, oh shoot, I stayed up late and forgot I had this. I'm just waking up now. I have my coffee, so.
Awesome, dude. Well, it's awesome to see you doing content now that showing your face, you know, because you were this elusive dude with just this deep voice. And
I wanted to stay separate from it for a while and focus on the content, but everyone wanted me in it, and now it seems to be going good and I enjoy it. So I like it.
No. Your face makes it to where you're kind of creating a brand, and people will like, this is Trevor. I realize him. Cause like, if you think about motocross action and Racer X and them, it's just like a name. Nobody really knows anybody besides like Jason Wygant, but he's been doing it for forever. Anyway, dude, I appreciate what you've been doing, and it's good stuff. Honestly, I get some stuff from you too. So I'm like, oh shit, Trevor's got a really good idea.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
And we have the elusive Coach Rob, who at least yells at me at least once a day when he logs into my Garmin and realizes how late I've been staying up, how early I've been waking up. I haven't been following his program as much. And tell me how stupid I am at times, but it's needed.
Hey, I don't tell you how stupid you are. I text you and I go, man, you're sick again. What is going on here?
Well, there's a difference between stupidity and ignorance. And let's just say I'm ignorant. I know better, but I am just ignorant. So
you incriminate yourself when you do your shows, you know, like your evaluation shows, of course, which everybody in the industry is emulating now. So mad props to you. What is your saying? Plagiarism?
Steal like an artist.
No,
there's
the
no
other
such
one
thing as originality. It's just undetected plagiarism.
That's it right there. So there's a lot of plagiarism going on out there, but congrats, man. Finest form of complements duplication. And I think almost every main platform is emulating at least 6 of the 7 things that you're currently doing. And I say that humbly. I mean, like you said, there can never be too much analysis as long as it's good.
Hey, it's ultimately just growing the sport. The more people I can inspire, the better. I had a good conversation with Jason Lawrence yesterday because him and Pingree are doing the track analysis, which I love, dude. If they can take my idea, make it their own, and make it better, awesome. I'm all for it. It's perfect because it's cool to see that like somebody I looked up to as a kid, you know, is returning in some sort of a compliment. But yeah, there's some good banter there. And truthfully, if you guys want to check out some other track analysis videos, definitely go to Whiskey Throttle. Here, can I put this up here? I don't know if you guys saw it, but Jason Lawrence knows his freaking stuff, and he's starting to get back into. Here, let me just
think about what a good combination it is, though. You've got David Pingree, obviously top racer, J-Law, top racer, and then you get those two bantering together. I think it's a win-win for the end user. I just wish I was a 13-year-old kid growing up with all these resources available to you. David, I don't know what you had in Australia, but I know here stateside, Trevor can attest to it. We didn't have a lot of resources that helped us understand how to get faster on a dirt bike. And now you look at the proliferation of how-to videos on YouTube. I love it. Johnny, you said last week those are still some of your most highly viewed videos, and I think it's great.
I know. I truthfully, I should not be doing analytics on the track. I should just be doing teaching again, like what the Motocross Academy is doing, and everybody, because those are my best deals. And I guess I have a knack for teaching. But anyway, the little feud between me and Jason. He's just getting into the content stuff, and truthfully, I told him, dude, that he needs to just do more of this stuff because he's got he's 2 laps ahead of everybody just because of his name, and it'll be cool if he continues to do stuff like that. So I wish him the best, and Pingree knows his stuff too, so he's got some really good shows. So make sure you check that out.
Don't forget the sense of humor that David Pingree brings to the table. I mean, his dry sense of humor, some people get it, some don't. I think that adds another dynamic. You put those two together, it's definitely a good chemistry. I think David has landed on a real gold mine there. So good stuff.
What Jason actually told me, Coach, was it was his idea, and he brought it to Pingree to have some sort of a platform, which is great. But hey, East-West Shootout, because I know I tend to digress a crap ton on this show. It is nuts that we are at round 14. Hey, Trevor, I see you drinking coffee there. What kind of black?
Black.
Just seriously?
Ooh.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess
that's tough.
Okay, well, mine is like this much coffee, and then like this much sugar.
Sugar or creamer?
Creamer, but isn't that the same?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say I would have to agree with you. Michaela teases me that I add creamer to my coffee when I have it. So
my grandfather punished me with black coffee when I was like 13, and I began to like it, and here I am.
Yeah. Hopefully, David, you're not drinking coffee, or you'll be up the rest of the night that's left.
Well, yeah, no, I don't want to anyway, but I don't drink coffee, period. It's just not in my resume of things that I'm getting into. So
there you go.
I wouldn't be able to live like that.
All right, I said I wasn't going to digress, but dude, I've heard so many different studies on coffee where it's like, oh, you will live longer and have less heart disease if you drink at least maybe 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day. And then I've heard that it's bad for you because it's a stimulant. So I don't know. Coach, maybe you know more about this.
Well, it's like anything, unfortunately. If you talk to enough people, you get enough people that'll agree with your opinion, especially with social media nowadays. You see this argument with alcohol, right? They talk about the medicinal values associated with wine. So I think it's like anything. There's going to be some positive attributes and some negative attributes to everything that's under the sun. And Johnny, you've already gone through this with me. To me, the biggest litmus test is how does it affect you as an individual? Try it and test it. You guys have heard me speak about this publicly on other podcast shows. I've got a client that if he eats a red apple, his face swells up almost to where he's unrecognizable. Is that to say a red apple's unhealthy? No, it just doesn't pass his litmus test.
Hey, so I know last week it was just you and I, Coach, but we also have an Enduro rider with us who is, I believe, over in Spain, who just joined. Dominique.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, what's up, man? I know
is it in Spain?
You're new to the show here, but hey, let me just put you on the spot right now. In the next 30 seconds, tell us, the viewers, what brought you into motorcycle racing, what you're currently doing, and I guess where you live and what time it is.
Yeah, it's like 5 p.m. So It's pretty cool, sunny. Yeah, living in Spain, like you said. So yeah, riding for Rio Factory racing team, and living in Spain. I have the factory like 1 hour far away from home, so it's pretty good deal. It's ideal. So yeah, I do enduro cross, extreme enduro, and classic enduro racing around Europe, and also last year as a previous American season for me, I raced enduro cross in America, so that was pretty cool. So this year I come one more time to battle with Americans again. So I'm super excited about that and stoked.
Heck
Are you
yeah,
riding
dude.
for a particular team at all?
Can you say again, please?
Yes, sir. Are you riding for a particular team because you're going to be here in the States? Did I understand you correctly, or is that back at home in Spain?
I'm riding for the factory team. So the factory from Spain actually is a factory from Girona, around Girona. So we come as a factory team race in America to promote the bikes and yeah, it's I put this idea on the table and they like it. So far so good. We
What
gonna run
series are you going
here in
to?
America, so super stoked about that.
What series are you racing? I'm sorry if I missed that.
I race actually. I come from motocross. You know, I was like since 4 years old. Actually, I was in national team in motocross for so many years, but I had some couple of injuries doing the career, like in 15, 16 years old. Then I had the break, and then I switched to enduro because I was looking for some more challenging things around the motocross, around the motorsport. So that brings me to enduro and super enduro. Obviously, Teddy Blazusek, like that was a challenge to be as good as him in indoor racing, which is the goal for me and the direction where I want to move now. And yeah, enduro cross in United States and super enduro in Europe. It's a fantastic racing, I think, and I hope you check it out.
Very cool.
Dude, the super enduro stuff I don't get. I did one enduro cross and I ended up with my arena cross suspension, which was awful because every time I jumped into the matrix, it was instant endo. And then what is all the wood that they put in there, Dominique?
Yeah. Oh,
what section do they call that?
It's a matrix, yeah. And the rock section, we have some basics obstacles where on every track we have pretty much the same obstacles, but every time is the different setup. So we have like super slick. They're gonna be super slick because obviously the humidity in the dirt is come out to the logs and the rocks doing the race, and it's gonna slicks you. And so you need to be like hard on the suspension, but like more progressive, super soft on the bottom, and then yeah, the suspension needs to take this hard impacts because we have pretty much hard impacts on our track. So
yeah,
it's,
dude,
it's all timing in enduro cross, isn't it? But like I do a little bit over here at times, and I've got to track out the back. But it's all timing, and it's all just being perfectly on your down points, and not you're saying about endoing into the log matrix, Johnny. Like anytime you go long, you're going to put your front wheel straight into the next one, and it's just going to end badly.
exactly.
Yeah, Dominic, like how you're just wheeling over this stuff.
All the track we stand up on the foot pegs, you know, and it's not easy. Like you need to squeeze the bike pretty much. It's intense, and we are racing on the smaller arenas than Supercross, for example, and then it's pretty challenging sometimes. You know, the heart rhythm is pretty high just on the start, and then it's pretty intense racing, but it's cool. You need to check it out.
So, because I suck at it, Dominique, my wife, the one enduro cross that I did, I was able to get the hole shots on stuff, but she said, never do that again. That was the most unsexy thing I've ever seen you do, because pretty much anytime I ran into the monster truck tires or whatever, it was like crash, crash, crash. And I bent my pipe and it just went awful. And so I was like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. But you know, I can blame that you don't show up to an enduro cross on Supercross suspension. That's probably a no-go.
That's pretty bad idea, to be honest.
I think that's worse than like a motocross, but damn, how soft is that stuff?
It's not pretty soft. Like for someone, it's hard suspension, you know. But you know, you need to find your setup. It's pretty hard, you know. We work a lot of years to find a good setup, you know, with my guy for like the tuner. So you know, you see how hard it is to get the flow on these tracks. So imagine how you need to put a lot of work to find the flow and to be flowy and be competitive in racing like that.
What dirt bike is that? Sorry, coach, you say it. I'm interested in what dirt bike that is.
So it's 300 two-stroke on carburation, old school 2-stroke. So for the moment it's carburation, but injection.
Is it a gas? Like what is it? Who's the manufacturer?
It's an old gas. So before the gas be sold like a company to KTM, the bike was selling to Ryu as a bike. So we're running that and yeah, it's pretty cool. Injection is coming out in next 2 years, I think, for you guys, and we are already testing the injection bike with some cool stuff. So the bike, it's looking sharp for the moment, and we're gonna improve this bike to, I think, to KTM level soon. So it's pretty interesting. I'm feeling I'm in the good spot right now, and then yeah.
Who will be selling the bike here stateside? Under what dealership would we be seeing it?
So the Mark Berg is an importer for USA and the thing like that. So he's responsible to in your region to bring the bike to USA.
The panel, do you guys have any questions? Because I think that Enduro, just in general, is blowing up more than Moto is, with all the bikes being sold, and that it's just, coach, what we've talked about several times on the channel is it's easier just to go out in the woods and go ride, and then not have the AMA sanctioning stuff, so that you can go ride for 2 hours and be done, rather than spend all day and ride for 15 minutes.
Yeah. What do you think, Trev?
Yeah, I personally know a lot of people, when they want to buy a bike, they want to buy an enduro bike, but I'm completely negligent on the professional side of it. I don't know anything about it, but I know a lot of people in person that go for the enduro bikes instead of the motocross bikes. They'd rather not be on a track. So maybe, yeah.
David, you said you've got a track out back of yours. What was the genesis on that? Is that something you like to do competitively, or is it just a new challenge for you?
Yeah, a bit of both on that one, coach. We in Australia, like, we've got motocross tracks and stuff, but we don't have endless amounts of them. And it's actually, we've just got a lot of bushland generally around that are like state forests and stuff that you need to have a registered bike to go and explore. So for us in Australia, we end up selling a lot of registered bikes, and then you can just go and ride through the bush at your own accord. And like you said, you can ride for a couple of hours in the morning and then still come back, have lunch with the family and do something with the kids in the afternoon. And, you know, you've got plenty of riding in, way more than you would have spent at the motocross track all day for. And so it just makes it easy. But I've got some land, and we've just built a track in the back as a bit of a challenge. And we have a few events locally that sort of run that style of enduro crossy things now. So it's just practicing those obstacles for us to, and I'm teaching the kids on it as well. So it's a bit of fun for my family, you know.
Absolutely. What part of Australia are you in, David? Just out of curiosity.
I'm just outside of Newcastle, which is on the east coast. So we're just a couple hours north of Sydney.
Nice.
This is an ignorant question, but do you ever get chased by like lions, or do you ever hit a kangaroo or any of that out in the
Well,
bush?
Well, see that window that's sort of just there. I have kangaroos sitting out there at the daylight when I'm working here in the office at times. So yes, there is kangaroos on the property all the time, but I haven't hit one yet. So fingers crossed.
Awesome. Dude, I find Australia just a fascinating country. Here in America, we have a population of 360 million people, and we're like 3 times. Well, honestly, we're like twice as big as the land of Australia, and Australia is a country only of like 20 million people, which is crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. We're just spread out on the edges. There's nothing in the middle for us.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
beautiful country, that's for sure.
Ride your enduro bike, right?
Yeah.
Well, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, but like if you take your motorcycle out into the bush and it's not registered, they'll confiscate the bike and arrest your ass. Like they don't play games, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, that's the big one here. But you know, most of anyone with any bit of skill on their motorbike, if you can't outrun our coppers that are on their bikes, it's going to confiscate it. You might need to go find a coaching school or something, because you should be able to get away from it most of the time.
That's good advice. It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, as always.
Exactly.
You know, I love it. Just run away. Trevor, over in New York, I'm guessing if you riding your bike on the street or something, the cops just might shoot your ass, right?
It's over quick. You'll be in the back of a car if you ride down the street around here. I actually live in an Indian Nation reserve too, so there's regular state cops, local cops, and Indian Nation cops all around constantly. So yeah, you're not getting away with anything.
Dominique, in Spain, what is the consensus of the law enforcement? I know we're going on a tangent here, but I'm just interested.
What is about riding dirt bike in the bush, or what are you asking for exactly?
Just how much does the police enforce bad behavior?
I moved from Poland 3 years ago. I living here because it's like Enduro center. If you are doing Enduro and try to do Enduro professionally, so there are the teams, everything is running around the Spain, the region where I live here, and that's why I moved. Like I had some troubles in Poland because I was training hard Enduro and Enduro in the bushes around the house, and I get the police trouble. That's why I moved to Spain. It's a little bit more calm, easy. Like if you have more than 1.5 meter wide track in the forest, it's legal to move with the bike. So it's pretty cool, you know, for doing. And they are looking for, like, if you are a pro athlete and you doing the sport, like if they see you, like you training and doing the correct thing in the bushes, they have no problem with that. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Because I know I'm really good at digressing, right? That's just kind of how this show goes about. I'm gonna put you on the spot again, Dominique. With Enduro, on this channel, we talk a lot about privateers and money. Is there anything you can share as far as how do you make a living, and is it enough to sustain, you know, your lifestyle for your factory ride over there racing Enduro?
So as a factory team comes to me, so the contract is pretty good for the moment, but it's gonna grow up. I take care of that, so I'm gonna grow up, and obviously without my family and then support around, I have a couple of sponsors from since I was a kid, so it's pretty good running pretty sweet. But you know, if you don't have a backup, like support of family around, it's pretty hard, you know. But yeah, as soon as you get the factory ride, it's better, you know. So now I need to make the correct steps, and then the good money starts to flow. But now it's okay for living, but yeah, you need to push in this time where I am now. So
How old are you, Dominique?
24.
24. Damn,
Yeah.
good for you, dude. Good for you.
Nice.
Just keep it WFO, man.
Yeah, I will.
Hey, Johnny, do you mind if we never got a chance to get some background on David. I'd love to hear his background, kind of like what you asked Dominic.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm the a-hole here. That
No.
if you guys could see my setup here with the streams going and everything. So David, let's put you on the spot. You're over there just wide-eyed. How did
Trying
you
to
get
keep myself
sport?
awake. Yep. Look, I got the usual story. I got into sport. My dad put me on a bike when I was a kid, and just rode ever since. But never at any great levels as such. But I got to the point where I got the question of whether I was going to try and do professional, like go a bit more professional racing in Australia, or go and do university. And I ended up doing the university path because my parents took me out of the racing for a year to get into the university side of things, and did my exercise and sports science and my physio degrees. And I end up now talking about injuries in the sport. So that's where I sort of got into it. I still ride. I've still got bikes and go and do events, state championships and stuff, but more in the vet classes nowadays. I'm unfortunately 38. I've not anywhere near Dominic at 24. I wish I still was. That would have been nice. But yeah, I'm just out there with the family. My wife rides. I got 2 kids that are just starting into it, and they're on little 50s and little 80s. So yeah, it's a family activity for me now. But just always love the sport and the American side of things. I've been over plenty of times to see the US races, so I just that's where my focus is on those things. Just keeping up with the US scene as well.
That's awesome. Johnny, are you there? Did we lose you?
No. I just was muted, and it's a good segue for just here. I wanted to share this because this news just broke, I think, last night, and everyone just have a quick little brop. Beep. Okay, sorry. It's okay to cuss on this show. That's what we do. It is MX Unfiltered. But here, let me know if you can't hear this.
We can hear it.
Like you have it all set up and what you're going to say. And I'm like, fuck. After 18 years, at the end of the 2024 SMX Championship in Las Vegas, it'll be the end of Phil Nicoletti's professional career. For 31 years, motocross has been the biggest drug in my life. To even put it into words and to calculate how much 2 wheels has meant to me is kind of, it's unexplainable. It is the only time in my life, every time I get on a dirt bike, where I don't have to think about real life or real life problems. It's my drug and my getaway to the real world. I still remember the feeling of getting off the school bus, running up the driveway to get in the house, to drop my book bag, to put my riding gear on, being a 10-year-old kid from Coshecton, New York. All I ever wanted to be was a professional motocross rider. The discipline, the happiness, the emotions, the depression, all the struggles, feel like I would do it all over again. I'm not a very emotional guy, but results aside, the people that have stuck with me for years and have always supported me, I am truly grateful for that, because if it wasn't for those people, I would have never made it in this sport. So I'm still going to be a part of the sports, just in a different facet of the sports. I'm looking forward to doing races that I want to go race, local races, having my father as my mechanic again, choosing what I want to do, not having to race a stopwatch, not have to be dedicated to a plan every single day, day in and day out. I've always told myself that when I lose touch of the grind and not being able to put in the work on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I know that it's my time. It's not that I don't love Saturday nights or Saturdays at Outdoor Nationals, I do, and I think any past racer will tell you that that's the feeling that they miss. But I don't know if any past racer misses the grind during the weeks. And that fire for myself is finally gone.
So he put that really quite frank. Some of his posts that I've seen is like, hey dude, I don't want to risk it anymore, because you have to risk so much to go fast on this stuff. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but what he said there, as far as it being a drug and it was a way to escape, I think that's the thing that the whole community can resonate with the most. Is that's why you fall in love with dirt bikes, is because it is forced meditation. If you're not on point and you're not 100% zoomed in, you're gonna get hurt. But that's what makes the feeling so great. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's AC retiring is a bigger deal than Phil Nicoletti, or what do you think? I almost think it's Phil, because Phil, he's arguably been having some of the best performances he's had, and AC unfortunately has been getting injured, and you could see it coming. Phil, I don't know.
You could
David,
see
Trevor,
you could see Phil's retirement coming. I mean, he's getting older, obviously. He's said he's kind of tired of it, and he kind of inferred about it on Pulp MX's show the other day. So we knew it was coming, but yeah, it sucks that he's getting this good this late in his career. But for me personally, Phil's retirement is emotional, because he's from here. He's from where I am. He's a local rider. One of the tracks I grew up riding at, he was there around everybody I know for years. And I remember at Unadilla in 2018, I spoke about this in my video, 2018, that's his only 450 class podium in pro motocross throughout his entire career, was at Unadilla, his home race, finishing behind Tomac and Muscan. That's insane. That day was just insane. The whole crowd cheering for him. The announcer screaming, Nicoletti's behind Tomac. It was just insane day. It's just an emotional one for me and New Yorkers personally. But yeah, AC is awesome too. Great career for him, but it just sucks, man.
What's your thoughts, David?
It's both of them sort of hit differently. I think Phil's obviously been a bit more of a fan favorite, and that quirky sort of personality that's very different from everybody else in the sport at this point makes everybody latch on and attach to it. But then you talk about AC's side of it, and then he sort of had a personality that was the opposite of that, but people latched onto it as well because of his openness and stuff. But his age now, when he's retiring, and because of those injuries and that list of injuries that he has is as long as your arm, that makes that disappointing for other people as well. So it's kind of hard that they both come in very close space of time, because it's making the whole sport sort of just everybody getting a bit down on it because two of their favorites are leaving.
Yeah. Dominique, what's your take on it, since you're right in the thick of it, prime of your career right now?
So I'm pretty shocked. You're talking about the Adam Cirillo or
both. Phil Nicoletti is he races the 250 class in Supercross, and he's an older guy. So just by his age, you'd think he would be racing 450s, but he's got a ride, which is on Club MX, which is somewhat of a privateer-ish / factory. It's probably the best semi-factory support you could get. So he's a guy that hasn't made millions racing motorcycles where AC has.
All right. So about AC, I was pretty shocked. He's retiring like so fast. So, but if you think deeply about that, you're gonna see like when he started riding as a professional, that was pretty early. So you can burn out, the fuel for your career pretty fast if you start riding pretty in the young age like he did and race such a long time. So you can burn out the fuel so fast.
And Dominique, I know like my views on racing dirt bikes is totally different, to where like if I even had an amazing opportunity to go race professionally again, where I wasn't having to pay to race, I'd be going, nope, don't even want to. Don't even want to. Leave me the F out of it, okay? Just because of all the trials and tribulations. And, there's something to be said that your experience kind of dictates who you become. And lack of a better term, I've had some real bad luck racing dirt bikes. And so that's why I'm thinking that. But as far as you, what keeps that fire burning in you to where, like, I'm scared when I get on a dirt bike and I try to race or try to ride to my ability, because I don't want to fall down anymore. I don't want to have another surgery. I've got a family now, just priorities have changed. But for somebody that's just on a factory ride on super enduro, I bet you're just willing to let balls to the wall, just elbow down. I'm going to just go through. Tell me your mentality.
So mentally, it's like you need to have a results. The results are the fuel, I think, and in my opinion, is this is a good fuel. This is the effort, what all your work, what you put to effort in the results. So if you're missing some results, that's gonna be also negative on the mental side. So I think this is the thing. And yeah, like you need to have fun every day. Like this is hard job, you need to sit on the bike for so many hours. You need to like ride with the injuries. Like we don't even count the small injuries or the broken bones. If it's not very serious, you can continue riding. You're doing that, in the pain. So our pain zone is different, for sure, different zone than for the normal people. So we are a little bit different humans, let's say, because but it's also fun, like if you look for it from this different side, and you doing such a cool thing, and this is like you can be proud of it, so that's the fuel for me, and I think for so many other riders, and yeah, it's like that.
Heck yeah, sorry, I'm unmuting myself here. No, dude, I love it. I love it. Just different perspective on stuff from your journey and everything. So, gosh, Coach, do you have anything to say about Phil and the retirement?
I think there's 3 takeaways that are pretty intriguing. First and foremost, you notice how everybody is going to miss these 2 guys because of their personalities. I mean, yes, we could talk race results, and obviously we love to watch good racing and all of that. I'm hoping that the young riders and the parents of young riders that watch this show understand what kind of an impact those 2 have had based on their personalities. They're, like Dominik said, willing to put himself out there, be vulnerable. Or excuse me, David, I think had mentioned that. You've got the idea that you've got Phil Nicoletti that never minces words. Just 2 salt of the earth type of individuals. But I think it's interesting because we're talking less and less about all of their quote unquote results and more about their personalities and what they bring to the sport. And I think for the benefit of the sport, we should all be thankful. The second thing to keep into consideration is I'm going to draw a parallel with Phil Nicoletti and Kyle Chisholm. And it was mentioned here by David. For Trevor. Phil Nicoletti has been out there, I think he said 31 years. You think about the people that he's been on the gate with. So if you go back to when maybe he was at Loretta's, let's say in the pro sport class, who was the top pro at that time? And how many guys have come and gone since Phil Nicoletti has now made this announcement that he'll tap out at the end of this year? I was talking with somebody this week about Kyle Chisholm. When I was working with Kyle Chisholm, I met him under the Toyota Moving Forward program. That was that program where Toyota was going to gift a Toyota truck, and the winner of that was going to go on to the Kawasaki team. Sean Hackley ended up winning it that year. But I want you to think about Kyle Chisholm. Once he got out of the amateur ranks, I started working with him first with Toyota, and then I worked with him again when he was teammates with James Stewart under Sam Manuel Yamaha team. And now follow Kyle Chisholm and Phil Nicoletti through all of those years. How many guys have we seen come and go during, in Phil's case, 31 years? You start time stamping some of the things. Who was the top pro when Phil was in, let's call it the B class? Who was it the top guy when he was in the pro sport class? Then he started actually racing against him. Then the people that were at the top of the game have now gone away, and he's still out there racing. Think about how many champions Kyle Chisholm has raced against. Think about how many champions Phil Nicoletti's raced against. That to me is what's pretty. If you could download all of the thoughts of Phil Nicoletti as he articulated, kind of the highs and the lows, what kind of book would he be able to write? What kind of memories would he be able to share with us? How many examples of races that if he were to bring it up, we'd go, oh yeah, I remember that. That was really cool. So I think it's a huge loss for us to see Phil leave, as it is with AC, as it was articulated here in the chat room. I do think we'll see AC in the TV booth, but for Phil Nicoletti, my question would be, and he alluded in his exit video there, that he's going to be around in the sport just in a different capacity. Selfishly for me, I hope he stays at club. Obviously, he's got a great relationship with that existing team. I do think if we read in between the lines, sounds like he's already got something lined up somewhere in the sport. I hope it stays with club. And then Johnny, I don't know if you want to go down this thread of thought or not. With Phil's vacancy at Club MX, look at the dynamics of the Club MX team as it's going into the 2025 season. There's a lot of moving parts associated with that team. Some new opportunities. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward that Prado is going to get AC's job at Cowie. That's pretty much a done deal. And then who's going to fill those two? Who's going to fill Phil's spot at Club MX?
Cody
What do you
Shaw.
think the dynamics of that team is going to look like?
That's that is almost what I guarantee is why they had a multi-year contract for him, is they knew Phil was going out. Same thing with Kawasaki is I think that's who's filling in. And it's great. Marchbanks needs to watch out because Cody Schock has had inferior equipment for a really long time and has not been able to show his potential. And now he's being able to show his potential, even with some surgery and recently plated. That to me was gnarly to go out there in the whoops and everything. Thank God there's only 9 whoops, so you could just kind of jump through them. You don't have to bounce around. But yeah, no, to answer your question, it's definitely Cody Schock, unless you think otherwise.
I apologize. What are you saying with Cody Schock?
I'm saying that's why he got a multi-year contract, just because they knew Phil was leaving. Because it makes perfect sense even at A1. Was it A1 or was it was the first couple races?
Rounds, yeah.
Where Phil did really well in his heat race, and then the bike wouldn't start, and he just was like, no, I'm not even going to try. And we all looked at it as like, hey, this is somebody that is mature, that knows the risks involved. But then now that we know that he is retiring, makes you go, yeah, why risk the biscuit when you know that you're not racing for a job next year? Because we see what this sport does to guys like Cameron McAdoo, where they go race as hard as they can nonstop, even if they're risking themselves and other riders, because their future is on the line and you're only as good as your last race. So they need to perform. In Phil's case, it's like, I don't need to perform. I'm done. So it all makes sense.
What do you think the dynamics will look like though? Because if you've got Phil, let's say he moves into a management capacity and you've got Cody Schock, right? So now he's in there. I've heard rumors that Marchbanks is on a short list for some pretty good rides for next year. So let's say he does vacate. I may be wrong. I don't know. Do you guys know if he has a multi-year deal through 25 or is it up at 24?
I don't. I haven't even.
Oh, I think Johnny's just locked up. Trevor, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so Johnny, he's going to be pissed. So this is kind of where I'm a little bit curious, and I don't even know if we're still alive or not, if he locked up, but we'll assume that we are. This is kind of the question that I would have for you guys is, if Phil goes into a management position, let's assume Cody Schock gets that. But if you think about it, you had Marchbanks, Cody Schock, and Phil Nicoletti were each on a bike, plus you have J-Mart. So if Nicoletti's bike opens up, there's one bike that's opened up, because it's not like, you see what I'm saying? We have 4 bikes on the track. Now you have Phil goes into management. Who gets that? Let's say J-Mart, maybe he does Supercross only next year. That leaves a bike open for outdoors the second half of the year. I'm also hearing that being clubs, getting more and more support, which is cool. So if the if the buyout at Star happens the way that we're hearing, right? There's a couple people within the team that want to buy the team. They want to downsize it to a 2-man 450 team, a 2-man 250 team. Now all of a sudden, do some of those resources end up going over to club? This is going to be a very interesting musical chairs with the Blue Crew, resources, and then seeing what materializes when we get over to who are the riders going to be. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
I'm not too sure who they would have lined up for riders, but
Yeah.
I'm familiar with quite a few up and coming amateur kids. There's one, they call him the Cuban Missile. I don't remember his name. Ivan Aldama, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. There's him.
Great
I'm friends
nickname,
with a kid.
bud.
What was that?
That's a great nickname, bud. The Cuban Missile.
Yeah, he's from Cuba.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
And then I'm personally friends with a kid named Logan Best. He's up and coming and almost at that pro ranking level. So I'm sure they have a lot of, sorry, I've been sick for a week. I'm sure they have a lot of young kids lined up, but I'm not sure on the pro aspect if they're going to pick maybe some veteran riders or some guys who have been down on their luck lately. I'm not quite sure on all that. It'd just be interesting to see, that's for sure.
Well, don't forget they've got Jet Reynolds too that they've only just picked up this year, and I don't know what his deal was when he first came to it, but I dare say that he's got a fair chance if he can do something outdoors that would solidify him for maybe a couple of year contract as well to sort of be with the team for a period of time and try to build on something there. So, you might see that. Like I dare say they won't be running more than like just that sort of 2, maybe 3 bike in a 250 class point, because how far can they stretch that budget that they have? Like they do have a bunch of those amateurs running around, like Mark Phineas and stuff in there as well. And they just brought on another one from the futures of that previous round. I can't remember the name of that one. Apologies to that rider, but there is a bunch of amateurs that they've got lined up there that are coming up as well that might just step into some of those things straight through.
You guys both have brought up 2 separate subjects. Trevor, when you'd mentioned like the Logan and stuff coming up, that's why I was surprised when Logan is no longer with the NSA team, because my understanding was the NSA is supposed to be a feeder for the Star and anything that's Blue Crew, whether it be Star, whether it be going over to Club MX. The fact that he's out doing his own thing now, not associated with NSA, makes me wonder, like, who, to your point, what amateurs would be coming through those ranks that would be falling into that filter of who's available. That's something that, obviously our wheelhouse is the amateur market scene. And it's always an interesting dynamic when the parents are coming to us asking, that's the genesis behind our new podcast show, Navigating Amateur Motocross, is parents aren't sure which way to go so that they don't waste their time and they don't waste their energy. So when you look at that Blue Crew and you look at that kind of that vertical, I don't know. I think it'll be very interesting because I've heard, and I don't think I'm saying anything that hasn't already been public, but there was another color brand that was trying to get Club MX this year. Mm-hmm. So Yamaha had to step up in a significant way. Otherwise they were going to go to another color. So to me, I think it's always interesting. And we talk about this quite often on the show. What I love about competition is competition raises the quality and makes everybody have to sharpen their pencil a little bit. It means the riders are getting a little bit more money, the teams are getting a little bit better resources. So when you see a couple OEMs that are kind of bidding for a specific team, as Johnny always says, that's just raising the waters for everybody. So I am going to be intrigued to see what happens with that team, because they have become one of the movers and shakers in regards to the dynamics of the race paddock changing. I do think it'll be interesting if Marchbanks does go to another team. Now, you would have Phil's bike available. You'd have Marchbanks' bike available. Let's say that J Mart, and you know what? I may have said that backwards. J Mart may prefer to go outdoors only. So maybe that would open up a Supercross bike early in the year. I mean, there's just all kinds of, but it's interesting. And I'd be curious to get Johnny's opinion on this. It's very interesting to me how now Club MX, considered a satellite team, is now a mover and a shaker in the musical chairs of who goes where. And the fact that if we see Marchbanks, let's say that Marchbanks does go to a pretty good ticketed item, how cool would that be? Because he got released from PC. Mm-hmm. And I think, Johnny, you talked about this quite a bit, how Cody Schock got let go at Phoenix Honda, and then Club MX comes in and gives him an opportunity. Now he's got a long year, multi-year contract inked. Then you have, let's say Marchbanks goes to a solid 450 program. I mean, 3 years ago, we would have seen Marchbanks he had walked off into the sunset. All of a sudden now clubs revitalized his career. It's kind of interesting, the power play there. Somebody was asking in the chat room area in regards to is Deegan buying the Star? No, actually, it's some guys inside the team that want to acquire the assets of Star. So there's some movements going on that Deegan is going to end up at Cowie in 25. So that's why Deegan would not be interested in buying Star. Just wanted to make sure that I didn't bypass the chat room area here. Johnny, did we get you back, or are you still fumbling around? I think he may have crashed.
He might have come and gone.
Yeah. Well, the fact that he changed the display screen, I feel bad because you guys have to look at my ugly face, but sounds like we still have a conversation going on here. Dominique, I know we can't see you, but just what's your thoughts on the movement with Star Yamaha? Is that something that you've been following, or Club MX, or is that something that you've not really plugged into?
Well, it's pretty hard to follow, but this season, I follow all the Supercross races with the trainings and all about that because I love it. It's a great sport. For me, it's pretty. The whoop sections are pretty gnarly for me, but yeah, the rest of the track is pretty interesting, and I like to follow the techniques and the new things what they bring. It's cool to watch and to try to put these techniques in our sport. It's cool to watch these guys what they're doing, and yeah. So I watched this. I didn't follow much. So yeah, just Supercross, and this is my favorite, And then this Saturdays I sit down and play my Supercross as a free day of training or something. It's cool to watch some proper riding,
Absolutely.
Was interesting to watch. This season was pretty gnarly with the weather and all of that.
It's definitely been a bumpy one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The chat room in here, Michael just hit on something that we were actually going to talk about. And again, guys, I apologize, you're locked in on my face, but I want everybody to chime in on it. I personally had not heard about it until Johnny brought it up about Eli going and doing some MXGPs. What have you guys heard about that? David, I'll hit you up first with you being on the other side of the pond, and you're a half a day ahead of us. What have you heard about that?
Look, I've heard similar things to what they've been going around on socials, but it's interesting that all stems from just a couple of comments in a like a press conference from Eli that he was interested in doing that at some point, but I think a few people have jumped on that a bit harder than maybe it actually the truth or the weight behind it. So it would be super cool to see him go and do a Lommel or something of that nature, but I just.
Oh, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Jesus. So sorry. I was. I had to take an extended bathroom break.
No apologies, man. Thank you for making this show flow. We appreciate it.
No, I mean that's a joke. I'm marching down after this show to Comcast to figure out I'm paying $250 a month for this shit. I've gone through Verizon. I've gone through fiber optic. Either somebody that anyway, I'm sorry, guys.
No worries.
We're talking about the.
I just asked David what his thoughts were on the Eli going to MXGPs, and he said it's been taken out of context because Eli had mentioned in a press conference. Trevor, what's your thoughts on it? Is there any legs to it?
I kind of agree with what David said. I mean, there isn't anything special or known about it. It's just that he said he might want to in the future. And right now, I don't know where he would even go over there. Every factory team's pretty locked up unless they wanted to add another bike for one weekend. But Eli seemed more keen on doing a couple of pro motocross rounds this summer than MXGP from what he said on, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before on Pulp Mex. He was asked about it. He seems pretty keen on doing a couple pro motocross rounds. I don't know about the MXGP thing, but that seems to be.
I might jump in on that actually, because you mentioned about the MXGP teams and where there would be space. I don't know if you realize, but like there's actually a couple of Yamaha bikes that are sitting around doing not much because there's been a couple of injuries in the 450 class or the MXGP class.
Yeah, you're right. The fill-in rider they had was only one weekend. You're right.
Like in that aspect, but it's only small. I think, in my opinion, at this point in time.
That was my bad. I completely forgot that. What is his name? Todd Kellett was only one weekend fill-in ride. I didn't know about that, so that's my
Trevor,
bad.
you made a mistake. You don't know everything. God, man. Ooh,
Dominique's going to have to step away because you made a mistake, Trevor. It's all over now. Yeah, the integrity of the show just went down the shitter.
It's over.
It's all over.
No, I had a big mistake on my new show on Wednesday where I said that the owner of Big Bets was the same guy that owned Stark because their both first names were Anton. And let's just say the chat in the comment section kind of ripped me a new one. And then like, it happens. It happens. Yeah, I was watching my 2-year-old over here. And so let's just say research was lacking on that one. So, the only thing you can do is do better next time. Right. So Trevor, I forgive you.
Thanks.
I always say, Johnny, if anyone thinks they can do better, they can always drive to your house and take it all on themselves. So we just appreciate you putting the show out every week. It's a lot of work that goes into it that people have no idea.
This shit is a piece of cake, man. All internet aside, this stuff's a piece of cake. I would much rather be doing this than having to do what Daniel or Dominique is doing over there with the Super Enduro. Speaking of which, pro tip, how do you get over those monster truck tires?
Monster truck tires, it's pretty easy for me.
You suck, Johnny.
Just rub it in. Just
hit it. Just hit it. That's all.
Just send it.
Said like a pro rider.
You go for the hole. Do you go for the goated hole or do you go to the side?
So you're gonna hit you're gonna send it, right? So you're gonna hit and compress your suspension, and then you try to, be with the bike all the time in the pretty much the same position. But you need to control everything, what is around you. So now it's for me it's easy, but it's a lot of techniques. We use a lot of techniques actually. Since I come from motocross, but for that I start practicing on the trial bike just to have this movement in my body, just to learn different techniques.
The trials bike, is that what you mean?
I do trials bike pretty hard because I need to move on the bike differently as a trial rider, because we are such a technical riding we have such a technical ride in arenas, so it's pretty difficult for amateurs, but for me it's
judging by your explanation, I am just going to go around the monster truck tire. Not even try to hit it. Jesus. Well,
hey Johnny, what are your thoughts on this showdown this weekend? I mentioned to you earlier, I think the 250 is going to be as exciting as the 450. Yeah, this is going to be a hell of a weekend.
Which is crazy to think, because usually the 450 is always the most exciting. But I think the story is Hayden Deegan versus Kitchen. Where is Kitchen on this dealio? Dun, dun, dun. He's somewhere on this roster of 77 riders, east and west. It sucks for the privateers, but for there he is right there. Boom, boom, boom. I think it's old teammates, and those are the two guys that I even made a poll about it. And I believe everyone agrees.
The poll numbers that you posted last night were surprising, because it was 41% Kitchen and 20 something on Deegan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
When you posted last night.
Oh, how come that didn't go up here? Yeah, I'm trying to get those poll numbers back up here. Sure.
And I guess what I wanted to ask the panel here is, what if you were to take a punt on percentages, what do you think Deegan was riding at last weekend? Are we at 85%? Are we at 90? Are we at 80? Where do you guys think? Trevor, what do you think, buddy?
I personally wouldn't know a percentage. I don't know where he stands on his injury recovery timeline, but he's doing the best he can right now. And according to where he lines up alongside Kitchen, McAdoo, and Vial, I don't really think he stands a chance against Kitchen, because Kitchen has been good all year, consistent all year, except for round one. And as of late, the past 2 rounds, he's been pretty dominant. I mean, he won by 21 seconds in Seattle, and he went 1-1-1 in St. Louis. So Deegan doesn't have anything like that this year. The only win he has, he won by, or no, there's 2 wins. He only won by a couple seconds, 4 seconds, and then he got the gift from Faulkner. So, I mean, Deegan really doesn't stand a chance, in my opinion.
David, what's your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I think he's getting closer. Like that, whatever that injury was that he hasn't really described from preseason. Obviously, he's been riding through that, and that week off, or the couple of weeks off that they had before this last round there at Foxborough, obviously worked to his advantage to either just get his head right in the right space, or just have another couple of weeks of like a block of training to build on it. But I don't think he's 100%. I'd say he's somewhere 90 to 95 at this point. But like Trevor just said, Levi's on a consistent run at the moment, and like that building that he's been going through and the confidence building, I feel like he's a step above Deegan at this point in time in their points in their seasons based on their pre-seasons and uninterrupted pre-season for Kitchen. So he's getting there. He's not all Deegan yet. Like he should have been like this at the beginning of the season. So I feel like this is just almost where he's just starting now.
Yeah. What do you think, Dominique? You think he's at 90, 95%?
I think he's sharp, looking good on the bike. He's doing the unreal things where other riders have problem with. So, yeah, I think he's getting better. As end of the season, he is for sure strong enough to win the races and try to find out for the championship.
I have a question for the guys that are not in the United States. So Dominique and David.
Yes.
Are you guys Deegan fans? Honestly.
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I'm not on the other side of it. I'm just watching him for the fact that he's a good rider at this point. But the part that makes me not a fan is probably just the very odd podium speeches at times.
Okay.
I have a respect to him just because what he's doing on the bike is incredible, and then is good to follow these techniques, and then so big respect to him. And so cheers. So kind of fun, it's I am kind of fun for everybody. Like for the top guys, I looking and try to follow the techniques, and so
I appreciate the Trump response from both of you guys. I personally think he's kind of following his dad's footsteps, and you always sort of need somewhat of a bad guy to root for some stuff. I mean, I kind of think the Deegan is bringing sort of the Conor McGregor pizzazz to the sport, where people are mad at him at times, but you still love him, and he's a good rider. It's an interesting dynamic. There's been definitely times when I feel like he's got a lot of growing up to do, but then there's times that he surprises me. So is everyone in the panel pretty consistent that of these 5 guys, we think Kitchen is going to win?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I do not. I think Deegan, that's why I was asking what you guys thought his percentage was. He just seems to be getting that steam rolling going. We've got a straightaway. We got to start this weekend. It's got a nice long straightaway start. I think that's going to allow that Star Yamaha to get him up where he needs to be. The thing, and I do agree with you guys. You can't argue with Kitchen starts. Very, very consistent. And I know it sounds so shallow to say it all comes down to the start, but we saw it with Jet. When he got buried on the start, he wasn't able to come through the pack. We're going to see the same thing if Deegan. The interesting part would be is Kitchen and Deegan and McAdoo, and I'm even going to throw in Jalik Swall. Those guys are very consistent on their starts. And with this track, thank you for putting that up there. I mean, we've got a nice long straightaway. It's got a nice 180-degree turn, so I don't think you're going to see a lot of, well, I guess we could see it. We saw the race where Evan Ferry got his face smashed into the wall. There's a lot of things that could go wrong here, but I don't know. I personally think it's going to be, I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself. I think if we see Deegan comes out and he absolutely stamps it, you've seen an official momentum shift, and it's going to set the stage for outdoors. I feel the same way with Jet, with Webb. If Jet comes in and wins this weekend, the entire sport will have a momentum shift, and especially if he can keep it up for the next 3 rounds, where he can show that he can persevere through the psychological pressure. We say in the sports world, pressure either makes you a pile of rubble or it makes you a diamond. And I think that's what we're going to see. If Deegan does prevail with this depth of field, he's going to be unstoppable the rest of the year. If Kitchen comes in and he slows that momentum down, we're going to see probably one of the most spectacular 250 outdoor seasons that we've ever have seen, literally. Johnny, I do want to elaborate real quick on what you said about Deegan. What I do like about Deegan's personality, think back, every decade we've had that brash person. You go Matasevich, Bradshaw. Every 10 years we have that one person that just kind of rubs everybody the wrong way. But it makes for some great dynamics. You have Travis Pastrana, who's that jovial, always happy guy. Then you needed somebody to be the antithesis of that. I think that's
Brian
what Deegan's
Dundee,
role is.
J-Law.
Yeah, exactly. You got the J-Laws, Matasevich, the Bradshaws, as I mentioned. So I think it's good. It's great for the sport. Whether you like him or you don't, that's not what's important. Like David said, he brings a new flair and a dynamic to the races. Take it, leave it. That's up to you, but nobody's going to just deny he's fun to watch. Whether
I would
because
even
I have to agree with
put
David.
RC in sort of the same dynamic of brass personalities. He was just more quiet about it.
So who would be the antithesis of RC in your opinion?
McGrath at first,
Okay.
but
and I'm not. That's not a loaded question. I'm just curious who you thought it was.
Yeah, it would be McGrath, and then who kind of took over McGrath then would probably be Reedy, as far as just this clean cut guy. And I would say RC, he didn't. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but because of the lack of social media, we really didn't get a full sense of RC's personality. We really only got what he was doing on the track, and he was pushing on the track. He was let it be heard that everybody that he's the shit. So
who would be the antithesis of Stewart then, in your opinion?
Sorry, repeat that because I was talking.
Who would be the antithesis of Stewart? So you have like a Reedy and an RC. You have a Stewart because obviously those 3 guys were in their prime at the same time. But who do you think would be the opposite of James?
Do I want to
jump out?
RV?
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I would totally agree with you on
that. Too.
Yeah, because RV just showed up.
Guy that was like in your face. I mean, I remember talking to RV at Loretta when I went to Loretta, and I was just like, I love this guy, but yet I hate this guy because he just doesn't give you the time of day kind of a thing. And yeah, totally. It's different. It's totally different when you think of somebody like Barsha, because Barsha's got that like happy-go-lucky, approachable personality, but then on the track, he'll bam you. RV has that. He doesn't sugarcoat it. What he does on the track is what he does off the track.
Yeah.
Last here, because
are you going to do predictions, or are you going to do predictions on that, Johnny, or where are you going with it?
Predictions for the 450s.
Okay.
So I posted this 14 hours ago, and everyone says Jet is going to win. I mean, it's hard not to bet on him, but is he? Some people think he's injured. I don't know. So
what's his injury?
I have no idea. Just
from the Bam Bam smash.
People are wondering if he's sore from or has something going on from when Bam Bam, sent him to the moon there.
I think he looked pretty good that last round. I think from an injury standpoint, if he's a little bit sore, it's not showing in that riding. Apart from that start, there was nothing wrong with what he did on the track.
Yeah,
agreed. So, Dominique, you were the last one to join. Who do you think is going to win the Supercross this weekend?
I like how the Webb is riding all the season, and I'm cheering Webb and Tomac. Obviously, I'm a fan of Tomac. He's doing the things very nicely, so I'm gonna put. He deserves it. Tomac. I'm gonna go with Tomac.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Nashville's people in the chat room are saying that Nashville's typically a harder packed track, which is interesting because it's in Tennessee there. It's very humid. However, it depends on the dirt that they're bringing in. So hard pack does suit Tomac because he's from Cortez, Colorado, which is dry and slippery. Trevor.
Hey, Johnny, do you mind? Can we get the guys to give top three? Dominic, who would be your top three? If you've got Tomac, who would be 2 and 3 in your opinion?
I know Chase Sexton's looking good also, as I follow. Jet, he's riding very light, very clear technique, beautiful ride. I'm gonna Webb, Tomac, Chase, or something like that.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
can't argue with that.
Let's switch to your left and go with Trevor.
I'm leaning towards Webb. Guys, because you can see a few times in his career when he's under high pressure situations, he only gets better. And I think this is the highest pressure you can get. And he's been getting fitter and faster and more consistent. And obviously, you mentioned that it could be hard packed. It's been hard packed in Nashville previously. That's Jet's kind of his problem right now is the starts on hard pack. That seems to be his only issue that you can pick out. But I did hear that Dirtworks said it was more soft dirt this year, not hard. So I don't really know. But if it's hard packed, I'm leaning Webb. My top three would probably be Webb, Jet, Sexton. I don't really know where they would line up, but I think Webb will win. That's my prediction.
All right, let's go above you, David.
Yeah, look, I can't disagree with what Trevor just said about a few of those aspects with the starts and Webb's confidence. And I think Webb's confidence is a bit scary. The comments in post race and press conferences where he's jacketing off and stuff is a sign of a man that's comfortable in his own skin, and that's dangerous for the competition from side of things. But I feel like there's got to be a response here, maybe this weekend, as the point that Jet sort of comes back to something, because he's had a couple of down weekends. You feel like he's got to build something back up at some point, and this has got to be that weekend for me. So I think Jet's going to do it. I actually think Chase is building as well at the moment. So I think Chase will be 2 and then Cooper will be 3.
Awesome. Well, that leaves you, Coach.
It's going to be a very interesting weekend. I'm going with Jet, then I'm going with Webb, and I'm going with Tomac. Excuse me, I have this backwards. I have Jet, Tomac, and Webb. And the only reason why I say that is when we saw Jet get into let's face it, probably the lowest he's been in his career, getting booed. He showed so much mental perseverance and determination. And I hate to use an analogy with the guy that he's competing against, but when Jet was able to dig out from all the boos and all the hate, literally you saw such an incredible momentum change on how people perceive Jet. And then he came out firing. He stepped up, and that became the new discussion point relevant to Jet was, wow, he was able to overcome, persevere, break through, and succeed. I think that's what we're going to see again this weekend. I think Tomac's got something to prove. Hopefully, we've heard that the opposite side of his Achilles injury is that ankle's jacked up a little bit. So hopefully that's been resolved. And if that's the case, yeah, I see Jet coming out on top. I see Tomac coming into second. I see Webb in third. And that's not a dig on Webb in any stretch of the imagination, just the idea that Jet has shown that he's been able to dig out very similar to what Webb has done in the past. And I think that's what makes it such an interesting dynamic to see what happens. What I would like to see is I'd like to see Jet get a relatively 5th or 6th place start and then come through the pack, because we've seen him do it before. But like what Trevor was saying, if it is dry and it's going to be slippery, it'll be interesting to see how he handles that dynamic. And the reason why I say that is I'm not so much interested in regards to just this weekend, but it sets the stage for the last, 2 or 3 rounds, and then the 2 or 3 SMX rounds. And that's what I'm more interested in, is seeing it literally go down to the wire. Unfortunately, if we get a mechanical and a DNF on either one of those, this conversation is going to be completely moot, because now you've got a 27-point difference. Nobody cares anymore. I would love to see it just maintain itself all the way literally to the last round. That's why I'm setting the stage the way I would like to see it manifest itself. I don't want anybody to be out of it mathematically. for as long as possible.
I will say, because as Mark Twain once said, if you find yourself on the side of the majority, you should stop and reflect. And definitely the majority here is Jet. Yes, probability says that Jet is going to win. However, the two that I want to see win, because I want to be a biased mofo, is Roxon and Sexton. One of those dudes, I'm going to lose my shit if they win. And I don't really care who finishes third, if it's going to be Tomac, Webb, or Jet. I just want to see Sexton or Roxon win. I'm not going to go bet any money on it because chances are it's just going to be Jet or Webb. But heck, well, you can't fault the guy for wanting to have some sort of an outcome, because in, you know, as far as the simulation hypothesis, in some alternate universe, Sexton is winning this weekend.
Oh, Johnny, you're gonna stir up the pot on that one.
But guys, it's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate all the 1,200 people that have joined us this morning. With some of my internet difficulties, I want to thank David from staying up till the wee hours in the morning. You get some rest, my friend. Dominic, thanks for coming on, dude, sharing a different side of the sport, because I know we primarily talk about Supercross and motocross, but man, off-road racing is huge. So I really appreciate you coming on board. And Trevor, really like what you're doing. Your channel's blowing up, dude. The magazine, you're working your ass off. Coach, as always, man, you are my go-to as a fitness advice and honestly a family member, you know. So I want to thank all you guys, and make sure you subscribe to all these mofos, because their links are in the description below. Let's show them all some love. And until next
Johnny,
time.
if I can say one thing, I've got a really exciting announcement today. I'm actually interviewing Connor Fields for our Meet the Guest. So that'll drop here in the next week or so. But want to thank everybody for the support of that podcast. And then the vet show, we're going to record that next week, and that'll drop the first week of every month. But some people had asked who's coming up on our Meet the Guest show. Got Connor Fields, and Johnny, you'll appreciate this. Next month, we actually have Alek Rukasuyev, who defected from Russia and is one of the top triathletes in the world. So very diversified portfolio of interviews coming up. But, well, some people here had asked who's coming on the guest show. So I just wanted to share here first than anywhere else, only on the Hopper Show.
Hey, thanks, Coach. David,
Absolutely.
Without me being rude, do you have anything else that is going on that you want to share?
Oh, no, look, what you just said before, just if anyone's watching and wants to subscribe, keep up with, I do injury updates for the AMA side of things. So if you want to know what's happening with your riders that are out injured and stuff, come and check out my content. That's all I would say. Appreciate it. Trevor, any big news you want to break?
Nope, you said pretty much everything. My magazine, my website, and my YouTube channel. That's all I got going right now.
That's all.
Well, that's all I got going.
That's all I got going.
That's all he's got going.
He's over there jacking off to all the stuff that he's got to do. That's a Cooper Webb joke. No pun intended, guys. This is a PG-13 show, but I mean it works. Anyway, I digress. Dominique, what do you got going on?
Thank you, guys. Was a pleasure to talk with you, and I hope we see you in America very soon.
Hell yeah. Well, can I get you guys to drop with me? Drop the hammer. The factory rider's like, nope, I'm out.
Dominique found a plug. Yeah, Dominique found a plug.
Do we not invite him back because of that? No, I don't invite him back. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Till next time, as always.
Thank you so much.
Keep it WFO.